Recently at the Palatniks, we had two surprises. One that went really well, and one that was like so-so. The first surprise was that our son, Moshe, who goes to school out of town, he's at a yeshiva in Denver, Colorado, so he surprised us by coming home for the weekend. He went to meet his brother at a wedding in New York, and that was a surprise for his brother. And then when my husband went to pick up our first son, who we were expecting to come back, our second son, the one who was doing the surprise, got into the back seat of the car and said, "Hey, can you give me a ride?" And my husband turned around and said, "Hey, buddy, get out." And then he realized it was Moshe. And when they came home, my phone rang and it was Moshe. And I was talking to him. I was at home. And I turned around and there he was. He was there. I was so happy. It was such a wonderful, fantastic surprise. So that was the good surprise. The so-so surprise happened a couple of days later. That I was scheduled to go to Toronto to surprise my mother. It was her 80th birthday. It was a big thing, her 80th birthday. And she had written on Facebook that none of her kids live in Toronto and it's so hard. Her children and grandchildren are away. So I decided I was going to surprise her. So I made up with my father that he was going to take her to a kosher restaurant and I was going to pretend to be the waitress. So that's what they did. They were at the restaurant and the head waitress was in on the surprise. She gave me my father's soup and she says, "Go bring it to the table." So I brought it to the table, said to my father, "Is this soup yours?" And he smiled at me, and then I look at my mother and I said, "Hello." And she just stared at me and said, "Hello." And I said, "Happy birthday." She goes, "Thank you." And then she realized that it was me. Now, you think it was a great surprise, and it was on one hand. But on the other hand, it really shook her up. She couldn't believe that she was staring right at me and she didn't know it was me. She said it took her a couple days just to recover from the surprise. Now I have to tell you that my husband always taught us that the Torah teaches us that it's really actually not so great to surprise people, that it can shake them up. And that's why in our family we always knock on the door, the front door, before we come in to our own house. That's right. We always knock on the door and then we go in. Everybody in the family is trained that way. All of us, all the kids, everybody does that. Because when you knock on the door, so then the person on the other side hearing, oh, is now a little bit prepared, somebody's coming in. Instead of being shocked, because it's not so healthy to be shocked. I should have learned it from all the knockings that maybe it wasn't such a great idea to surprise my mother, but we were so delighted that Moshe surprised us. Surprise, surprise. I don't know about you. I do like surprises, but maybe one day I won't. So, happy birthday, Mom. I love you. I'm sorry I shook you up. I'm Lori, Almost Life.